Ladies and gentlemen, real world assets are becoming completely irresistible. Yes, this year 2026, regarding your investment decisions into real world assets are becoming completely irresistible. I'm looking at the shift from traditional ownership to real-world asset tokenization. When you look at how it is all happening just right about now, every news coming out is about real-world asset tokenization. And I think individuals or entities or institutions who will take part into this particular crypto industry, because it is a new industry. It is just the way you saw NFTs, just the way you saw meme industry, just the way you saw stablecoin, just the way you saw utility, just the way you saw securities. Now, tokenization is another subject that is leading the cryptocurrency industry. Because tokenization itself, it means having real-world assets digital, putting them into digital formats. That means bringing them onto the blockchain and creating particular and unique blockchain tokens for them. It means that you are shifting the rights, the ownership, and the shares into digital units. When you make them digital, you are making them accessible to everyone. You are collecting rights of assets, physical assets. You are making ownership of physical assets. You are making it very easy for people to own shares of those companies or entities or assets. You are making them digitally, and you are putting everything on a global scale. When you look at the traditional ownership problems, it has really been very hectic. Okay, when you look at how hard it has been with capital, it is really insane, because an individual, an entity requires to have really very huge capital to invest or buy into an asset. You must be a millionaire or a thousandaire. I mean, having hundreds of dollars. So high capital access, it has really been a very big problem. Look at the geographical access. We being located in different parts of the world, it actually makes it very hard to venture into these assets. I am in South Africa, and the asset that I want to invest in is in Indonesia. Completely difficult. I am in Germany, but the asset I want to invest in is in Haiti. Completely insane. Language barrier, from geographical differences. You are in Brazil, but then you want to invest in an asset in Norway. Completely insane and completely difficult. So this geographical access has also been a very, very big problem. To own an asset, or to be part of an asset, or to buy shares in an asset or a company share globally, it has really been very, very hard, with difficulties due to geographical access. Look at the slow transfer of the ownership. If it happens that you buy it, to be able to fully have the documents, to be able, those rights to be transferred to you, very, very hectic. Very, very hectic. And almost impossible. Including physical movements, including middlemen, blockers, lawyers, so hectic. Permissions, licenses, so hectic. The complex paperwork. Maybe you also, you're from England, but then you want to buy an asset in Mexico. Do you know how much money you need to invest into the paperwork? Turning this from English to Spanish, then turning it from Spanish to English. So complex. Different regulations, different law systems, different legal terms used in different areas. So hectic. So when you look at what tokenization is really doing, solving this access problem, it has really created something really amazing. The access problem is now no longer available. It has been solved forever, which means that you can get into real estate, you can buy into commodities, you can invest into precious metals, you can invest into equities in companies, you can buy private assets, you can own a part of intellectual properties of music or art or anything that has intellectual property. So the problem of access problem has been solved, which means that actually tokenization is making property ownership borderless. It is crossing borders. So right now there is cross-border investments. Previously, when crypto was coming onto the markets, it was solving a problem of borderless payments. So you could send money anywhere across the globe. You send me money in Bitcoin from the US to Mexico in just a few clicks. No middleman, no anybody, borderless, completely 100% borderless, 100% no regulations in between, no intermediates in between. So crypto itself solved borderless crypto payments, digital payments, borderless digital payments. But when you look at tokenization, it is actually making cross-border investments. So at first it was about receiving money. You have your work or your donation or whatsoever, and then you're paid instantly with crypto. Borderless, completely borderless. But then what tokenization is doing, it is now making investments borderless. You can invest now everywhere in the world, which is really amazing. And I think this is removing barriers, restrictions, which means that you can be whatsoever you are, wherever you are, not whatsoever, wherever you are in the world, and own shares and own, be part of the profits of a certain entity. You'll be part of owners of a certain amount of gemstones somewhere, or gold, or a hotel, or an apartment. You have shares, which is really amazing. Okay, when I remembered something. When I was growing up, I used to hear some rich men here in our country being shareholders in Coca-Cola, Pepsi, right? And I was like, and those people never run out of money, because even having a 0. whatsoever shares in a company like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, they make huge sums of money every single month. It's like owning like a 1% share in Coinbase right now, or owning a 1% share in Binance right now. Yes, I'm speaking about this because they are huge giants in fintech, in crypto tech. Okay, it's like owning a 1%. Okay, 1% could also be big. Okay, let's say 0.2% in Binance. It is hell huge. It means you're taking 0.2% of the profits that Binance makes every single month. That is huge. So we used to hear of people owning shares in Pepsi or Coca-Cola, and I was like, how does these people manage to do this? How the hell are they managing to do all this, and they never run out of money. They are extremely rich. Okay, not rich, but wealthy. There's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. When you're rich, everybody can say it. You're just moving in Porsche cars, you're in bars, buying this and that, taking women out, taking kids out, buying this and that, always in light. But I think wealth people are always reserved, disciplined, humble, helpful. They are just down. And these people are extremely wealthy because they have shares in Pepsi, Coca-Cola. I think with tokenization, everybody from wherever they are in the world, they can actually own shares in companies that decide to tokenize them. So you find a company that wants to tokenize their shares so that they can share profits with their investors. Okay? With their investors. And I think that will be really extremely amazing and extremely wealth creation in making. So I think I should, let's say if Troptions, okay, as a company, ever decides to put its shares out there, okay, so you're buying into Troptions shares. Let's say you okay, they have their tokens, and you buy accordingly to the amount of money that you have. You're buying those tokenized shares called Troptions shares. You're buying into their profits making every single month. So if Troptions is making like $10 million every month, and you have 1% off, it means you will be really making huge money for some good time, or let's say 10 years or 50 years or 100 years, according to how long the company will be on. Let's say that Binance was selling its shares. Which year did Binance start? I think around 2014, 15, I think around that time. I'm not really certain. But let's say you bought shares from Binance up to now, since 2014, and you've been making 1% of their revenue share. It would be insanely huge amounts of money. So if a company like Troptions ever decides to sell its shares, and this is how it all happens. And I think now it would be a matter of which company do you choose to invest in. And I think this needs really re-education. Yes, because we don't know which company will work better, which finance decisions should we be making. So I think we also need some sort of educations before choosing which entity, which shares somebody should be buying in. And I think very soon in the future, I'll be hosting people from various finance entities that really have huge and vast experience to explain these complexes. Okay, I think that will be really amazing, because myself, I really need to understand these concepts. I need really to understand and make proper decisions. So apparently, you will see that everything is happening, which is really amazing. Tokenization is happening, and it will be a matter of when have you joined Access, which company are you working with, which assets are you buying into, and are those entities or assets trustworthy, and are they long term or they are actually speculative and they are short term. That will matter a lot. So there, I'm apparently working with the Troptions, and Troptions is launching onto Quantum Exchange. So the Quantum Exchange is going to be a place for real world asset tokenization. Quantum Exchange is going to be a home exchange for real world assets, and then your money, your Troptions Unity or USDT or whichever money that we'll be bringing onto the platform. It is also an asset liquidity platform. It will have a lot of cryptocurrencies, a lot of stable coins, a lot of real world assets, a lot of liquidity. You simply interchange each other. Okay? And I think Troptions is, yes, not actually I think, but it is the truth. It is, it is the setup. Troptions wants to bring all their cryptocurrency ecosystem onto Quantum Exchange, to put all that liquidity onto Quantum Exchange and enable swapping, swap, enable high liquidity with other cryptocurrencies. So I think it's really going to be very, very amazing, and I really hope the launch of Quantum Exchange and also Troptions Unity and Troptions entire ecosystem happens very soon, and also a success. By the way, I think I need to send an email to Quantum Exchange and ask them if they are bringing a wallet. Not a wallet, an application on Android and iOS, because I think it's really comfortable to work with an app than just a website. So I think after this podcast, I should really send in an email and ask about the app on Google Play and Play Store when it is going to be available. I really hating logging into websites, and it's hectic. Applications makes things simple, since it's just an opening up of an app, and it's really stable on an app than a website. So it is becoming completely irresistible, and it is becoming completely hopeful. So it is about the timing. It is about what you want to do with your money. It is about what you want to do with your life. But I think tokenization, as of now, it is really happening in an amazing way, and we should all look up to it and what is really going to happen. I was really looking at something really here very quick, trying to understand the difference between crypto tokens and raw world asset tokens, because I think so many people would actually confuse these two things. When real world assets are tokenized, it is definitely a token. A token into blockchain. Yes, a tokenized asset onto blockchain. So real world assets, tokens, they represent ownership. They represent legal ownership. They represent rights ownership, shares ownership. They are cryptalized. Yes, they have cryptography into them, but they are not cryptocurrencies. They are not used in for payments, just the way you see Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or these layer 1 cryptocurrencies. There's a very big difference between Solana and the real world asset token. I think Solana is simply a crypto infrastructure, but then these real world assets simply represent a physical content, physical infrastructure. So when you talk about Bitcoin being a token or a coin, or Ethereum being a token or a coin, or Solana being a token or a coin, I'm not meaning real world assets are going to be like these cryptocurrencies. No. Real world assets are simply tokenized shares. And I think it's really well understood. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this podcast. My name is Daniel Leinhardt, and you've been listening to the Crypto Investor Podcast. We are hosted on www.cryptoinvestor.com, Crypto Investor, investor with an A. And we are also distributed on all audio listening platforms. Thank you guys for listening in. Endeavor to reach out if you have any queries or any important discussions. But bye for now, and see you in the next episode.